All right, looks like we're live. YouTube, how's it going? You made it to Friday. We made it to Friday. Well, let's see what we get going here. Let's get this minute to warm up, get people to pop in, get their coffee settled, all that good stuff. There's your weather scene. The strong storm still in the south there, or I guess actually more so in the right along the Ohio River, it looks like. Right there in West Tennessee, kind of where that storm stalled out at, I guess. Still going with a lot of rain. Right where Alberto died. So M Long's been getting rain, it looks like, and Walker Outdoors. More, I guess I should say. It's been a lot of flooding out different places ongoing since that came up through there. But the Rockies and all up in Montana, everything getting swamped as well. So spring is not turning over to summer very quickly. Good morning, Walter. How's it going? You got a lot of wet. Looks like it's starting to leave you, but everything pretty much moves west to east, so you're going to get a little bit more this weekend, it looks like. We're staying pretty dry here, even though they said we might be getting some rain this week, but it didn't materialize. So I had to go out and water trees and stuff. I was hoping to skip that this week, at least a little bit. But no such luck. You know how that goes. Best laid plans, right? All right. We've given it a minute, so let's push on through. The weather's pretty wet for the most part, but other than that, not too much stands out. Since Alberto's died, I had a lot of all that flooding that got attached to that. So the jobs reports came out today, and somehow we keep building all these jobs, or I should say, people getting jobs. Amazing how that happens. But so really outperforming the number of the estimates out there. Unemployment rate at 3.8% was reported. A lot of key stats in here. It looks like. Let's see what we got going on. Those holding part-time positions fell to 7.6%. That's for economic reasons, I should say. I guess they have a stat for that. How they figure that out, I don't know. It's all statistical analysis and exfoliating the numbers into estimates and statistics, I guess. Hourly earnings rising 0.3% into an annualized rate of 2.7%. So they're saying people's getting paid more too. Inflation. People are going to need more pay if this inflation keeps running wild. Record low unemployment for people of different backgrounds. $904,000 full-time jobs created. Lots of good data in here. It's depending on what it means. If we're peaking out or if is this going to run for a while? I don't know. I don't know if anybody is necessarily out of a job. So we got to wait and see. I don't have much anecdotal evidence on my end. How much is it? How are these young college graduates getting out there and finding jobs? Be interesting to see what that anomaly was back in September when they had this on the graph of 14,000 non-farm payroll increase versus all the 200,000s and stuff mixed in the rest of the year. Like that's a big time anomaly. What that was all about. So that's that report. But to kind of balance that out a little bit, Zero Hedge put a little bit of reality check on it. Along with that, almost 96 million Americans are no longer in the labor force, record multi-decade high. And a lot of this has to do with the baby boomer generation retiring. These are people that aren't captured in the labor force in the unemployment numbers because they've just quit looking for jobs. So they go through all the unemployment numbers up front, but then they show you the graph, the labor force participation. And really the key for this is what happens with a lot of, you talk about Social Security benefits, stuff like that more as this number goes up and up. Another graph, people not in labor force. So there are 102 million Americans who are either unemployed or out of the labor force. Maybe that's why we have all these robots showing up, stocking shelves and taking your order at McDonald's and stuff. They're speculating here it'll be a long time before wages see significant gains. If we talked about that last article, it's just over 2%, 2.7% wage increase, but is that keeping up with inflation? We would say not, but that's one of their key lines here leaving the Zero Hedge article is the wages waiting to see significant gain. So that's the dry stuff out of the day in the economy on those ends. Hey, ZPD. Good morning. How you doing? Yeah, I'm not sure how they get self-employed types captured in some of this data. I mean, people that work for cash under the table, if you work a solid cash business, yeah, you're not captured in these types of numbers. I'm pretty sure about that. But anything that's reported on a tax form of some in some way is captured at some point in time, I think. People that are have their own businesses and stuff. I'm not sure how they capture those job numbers, but they do to a certain degree. That's why they don't want people working for themselves because they want to be able to do the statistics on it and tell everybody how great they are. Okay, so if you have all that going, you're probably captured at some point in these numbers. I'm just not sure how they do it. We'd probably have to look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, and that would be boring and time consuming and probably a waste of our time in the long run. But yeah, good to see you're doing good. So what is it, noontime lunch break for you? Yeah, so that's the numbers out of that. Um, we'll stay on the economic front for a short bit here. We talked about this last month. Here's another report about U.S. oil output jumping to a record. Looks like this is a separate reporting agency, but it looks like it's about the same month. It's about March, so it's not about May or April. So this is still talking about that same report we were looking at a couple weeks ago, I think. Just a different. This is out of oilandgasinvestor.com. Production in Texas rose by 4%. Maybe this is where all those jobs are getting created down in oil fields and such. Output from North Dakota remained the same, while output from the Gulf of Mexico declined 1.1%. So Texas is pulling up everybody's slack. Natural gas production in the lower 48 rose to an all-time high, 88.8 billion cubic feet per day in March. Prior record was 87.7 cubic feet a day in February. So yeah, that's clicking right along. There was a story, a headline a couple days ago that said that at current gas prices, Texas or U.S. wouldn't be able to keep up with demand, and that's why prices of oil would go up to get other people to increase output, or to then the U.S. have to expand exploration, all that other stuff like that. But we'll see. But so this has got a lot of just data in it. It can just a follow on of that record month. It looks like that U.S. oil output is jumping, and we're at record highs. Hey, good morning, Barry. Yeah, we saw the weather. It looks like the Rockies and all Montana and all up through there is getting a lot of rain. And I imagine, like I guess, like you said, cold rain, right? You're at 330 a gallon there, Barry, for gas. Is that what your 330 means? You getting a lot of factory work going on up there? What does West Michigan produce? Is it lumber industry based, or is it still car manufacturing and such up there? What's it based around, I guess? Never thought about it. Yeah, I think we're idling right at about 305 down here for gas. It's kind of leveled out for she. It was up and around the 310 range, and it kind of ticked down a little bit last week or so. It seems to be kind of leveled out, waiting to see what's going to happen next. You know. All right, so there's your economics stories. Um, Staying away from. There was a top headline this morning though that was it? Yeah, it was the unemployment rate hit the top headline this morning. There was something else though that stuck out that I was going to obliquely talk about, but we'll move on. Non-farm payrolls, U.S. So it was a good story out of the Washington Times yesterday. Homeschooling is surging. It speculates here that violence and bullying are forcing homeschooling options. I don't know if they're just trying to cover up how much the education system sucks, or if they actually interviewed people and they said that's why they started doing it. I've never heard anybody. Well, I guess in a roundabout way, a lot of people use that route just because of the social, the culture inside of schools overall over the years. But it's been a long-going trend of increasing in homeschool participation, I guess you'd say. In particular, the pulling out of government schools. So this Lubbock-based organization, the Texas Homeschool Coalition, has been swamped with inquiries for months after the Parkland shooting. So this is based on their experience. So this organization a coalition that gives information out and stuff. So they've been swamped with a lot of questions and emails. It looks like phone calls and the such. They're getting between 1,200 and 1,400 calls and emails per month. Prior to that, it was about 600 to 700. So people are directly more interested in their homeschool options. Talk about people falling out of the labor force, not looking for a job. One parent stays home to homeschool the kids. That'll take that number up quite a bit. And it's not just the threat of school shootings. Christopher Chin, who's the president of Homeschool Louisiana, I'd imagine that's the organization name, said parents are also increasingly concerned about the violence, the bullying, the unsafe environments. So people are National Home Education Research Institute out of Salem, Oregon. They've been doing homeschool research for 33 years, said school safety has increasingly become an issue for parents looking at teaching their kids at home. Said the top 3 reasons that parents choose homeschooling: provide religious instruction or different values than those offered in public school, dissatisfaction with academic curriculum, and worries about the school environment. Yeah, that sounds about right. School environment being overall everything, not just the violence and stuff like that, but just the lack of values, etc. You could intermingle that with the first one where it says different values. School environment doesn't usually match up. And he continues on here, but when we ask families why they do homeschool, the top nowadays is concerned about the environment of schools, and that includes safety, pressure to get into drugs, pressure to sexual activity. It includes all of that. Yeah, spot on. It's a wraparound thing. If it was just one thing, you could find a way to mitigate it, but when it's all those things wrapped into one, it's too much to deal with. You take the best option. And of course, they have the naysayers. Not everyone agrees with the homeschool response. Takesha Coates Durham, anybody that has 3 names, you know is automatically an elitist. Lead virtual school teacher for the Madison County School System in Huntsville, Alabama, said that fleeing the classroom teaches the wrong lesson. I see. I wonder what the lesson is it's teaching, though. Even though it seems we may be protecting them, we may be sheltering them instead of teaching them to work and find a solution for the issues. Kids aren't allowed to find their own solutions to these issues in schools. They're told to sit down and shut up. The teacher tells them to. So that's an interesting perspective this teacher has, that homeschooling kids teaches them to run away from their problems, I guess, is the lesson it's teaching them. See, that's what you do then is you don't ever go to government school to begin with. You start homeschooling from the beginning. Hey, problem solved. So that's a good article, a good interesting trend in society. A few more numbers here at the bottom. 2017 Department of Education report estimates 1.69 million homeschool students, 5 to 17 years old. That would indicate that homeschooling has been flat since 2012, but Mr. Ray from above, from the coalition group, estimated there were 2.3 million homeschool students in the spring of 2016 using figures provided by 15 states that track homeschoolers, as well as Arizona. His figure represented a 25% increase between 2012 and 2016, and that's probably more accurate. I think everybody's seen an uptick in that activity. Bottom line summary is it's been growing. Homeschooling has been growing at an estimated 2 to 8% per year. Mr. Chin from Louisiana said that there were 30,134 homeschool students registered in January, up from estimated 18,000 to 20,000 in 2011. So almost 10,000 more. So public school people are always going to downplay the homeschooling numbers or something, but they are definitely being outmaneuvered in a lot of ways. Hey, good morning. You can do it. How's it going? Good morning to you, sir. How's your coffee? M. Long is with us. Good morning. Did you survive all that rain and weather and everything else? And how did that eventually work out with that explosion at the UPS? It was a UPS facility, gas leak or whatever, natural gas. explosion of some sort. I didn't catch what your comment meant until after the chat was over. Then I looked up and I saw that links on the news and stuff. Thanks for that. But yeah, in the middle of the chat, I didn't realize I didn't catch all your comments there. But that was interesting stuff. How did that work out in the long run? Were there any? They didn't say there's any fatalities the other day, but did anybody end up being fatalities in that situation or what? And this crazy Scotsman has joined us as well. Good morning. So those of you involved in kids education, story for you. Our sign of the apocalypse, or maybe it's more of a positive sign of the apocalypse. This is kind of torn on how to deal with this one. Everybody knows that you're not supposed to get an Alexa or a Google thing or what are those little devices that you talk to in your house, and talk back to, and they access the internet and buy stuff from you from Amazon. We're not supposed to have those, right? Because they're dangerous and the CIA listens in on you, the NSA and everybody else. But somebody has found a benefit. So an artist, so I guess he's a pro-gun artist, has programmed his Google Home device to fire a gun remotely. So this is pretty sweet. And it's got a picture here of a pistol. It looks like a 9mm operation of some sort, or maybe just a pellet gun. But you could modify this for a shotgun or something, I'm sure. So this artist programmed his Google Home to fire a gun remotely and share a video about it. He could have used any AI platform, Alexa or Siri, but he created the video to start a conversation and create awareness. Yeah, thanks for the idea. I'm glad he thought of it. That's a good Hope security device. I think the angle he's going at is that your devices are more dangerous than you think. I'm not sure. But let's see if the video that they put up. Activate gun. Not necessarily directed at Google singularly. I mean, this could have been an Amazon. So he actually used the words gun in the command, but it's obviously a test case. But you could use any code word to train your Google, I think, to activate whatever device you had hooked up to that. You wouldn't have to say those words. That's where you get activate. So good security system ideas maybe out there for you folks. Just however you rig that up. Looks like he had it definitely in a convoluted configuration. If I can pull that picture up again. It looks like a couple of fan bases. It looks like the base of a couple of fans, or maybe that's homemade. Here's his Google thing, I think. And then, well, this is obviously his just stand for the Apple. But how he activates this is they have, all your Alexa can power all these different devices in your home, lamps and everything else. So if you set it on a certain network with a certain pull device, you could have this covered in your front door. I mean, somebody for this guy too. I don't know. But pretty interesting stuff if the average Joe is able to rig up something like that. Well, this guy's not an average Joe, but moving on down the line, the average Joe's being able to rig something up and execute order 666. Boom. Something like that goes on, right? What do you expect? Hey, good morning, Castaway Planet. How you doing? 5G. I don't know. I haven't seen any local. I was thinking about you hear everybody talking about 5G starting, but are they just modifying towers? I haven't seen any tower modifications. Any stories about that? Like, where's the actual towers going in for that? Are they just, is it a wavelength just reprogramming thing, not actual physical constructional build thing? So a good security concept for you there if you wanted to get involved. And speaking of guns, and you really, really need a gun. And this story's out of the UK, of course. Fella gets off his bike with a knife and it starts trying to go on a rampage. And just the other day, a UK court put out a motion or opinion that knives should be blunted in the UK, that they should cut down, basically take the point away from all knives. And they were talking about all kitchen knives and everything else. This guy has got a serious Rambo job going on here. Probably definitely made in a garage, honed down to look shiny and nice, but it's definitely would still do the job. But that is a serious looking weapon. Fortunately, he doesn't know how to use it. But there's a video a little bit further down. This is just a good close-up picture of what he's carrying as he went on this trying to go on a rampage and tried to assault the folks in this car who obviously were probably not armed because they're in the UK. Otherwise, this guy'd be dead on the street. You come at me with a knife like that, you're definitely not going to last long. That is serious weapon. Just interesting the timing on that, of that judge saying that, and then this guy popping out, getting on video. So there was dash cam footage of this guy getting off his bike, kicking the vehicle, doing stuff like that. It came off of Twitter, of course. Everything good is on Twitter. Let me blow this up so you can, if it'll let me. Will it let me blow? It won't let me because I'm not on Twitter. This guy just goes to town. See if I can pull it up in Twitter. That's a picture. And he's trying to use the point there to go at the windows. Like, use the pommel of your hand, the other end of the knife. That's how you break the window. Stupid. Of course, he would have cut up his hands then. And a couple people come running like they're going to help him. The driver of the car takes off, gets out running. Yeah. So, your reason number 20 to not go to the UK and be unarmed. Story of the day. Not to mention all the other madness going on there. It says no arrests were made yet. But, yeah. Talk about, yeah, they want knife control, but how are you going to defend yourself? That's obviously, in my opinion, probably a homemade knife. Just grinded down in a garage and whatnot, and made to be look all fancy. Well, yeah, right. Castaway picking up a brick and trying to break the window would have been better, but I don't think he had one nearby. He was just upset about something at that point. And tried to get all offended, get offended at the person for some reason. So knife control. That's what they're after now because of crazy people like this. Who's going to get this knife regardless? Find a metal object, grind it down, sharpen it up. They do it all the time in other countries. Take the leaf springs of vehicles, parts like that, spare metal, grind it up. Yeah, Scotsman, I think they're going to ban pencils because, you can poke it in your eye. You could poke your eye out. Yeah. So more madness out of the UK. Definitely madness. That's about wrapping it up for our news day. A lot of people getting wet out there. Hope everybody started their weekend already. It's hard to do for most of us, but anybody can get ahead of the game with that, we applaud you. But that's the long and the short of it on stuff flying under the radar and just seeing what's really going on. Not much more on the Tommy Robinson front out of the UK. Guess there's a big protest scheduled for tomorrow, though. And I think next week as well. I think next week's the big one, but this week there'll probably be a little street side stuff. But next week is the big one, I think, actually. And I think about my days, it's like the 7th. Yeah. So welcome to June, folks. You made it this far. Congratulations. Go out and have a good day. We'll see you on the weekend. Enjoy. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for checking in. Live free.